Krillin and Marron was a very interesting relationship, one that's actually much more interesting than people really understand. And when you go back and watch the Garlic Jr. arc, which is really when Marron was introduced and kind of her story with Krillin was told, there's a lot of really deep messages that the writers from Toei are trying to tell us about relationships. And no, I'm not kidding. There's some pretty deep stuff here, and I want to discuss it here on this video, this Valentine's Day special about Krillin and Marron that might actually help you out with your life. Let's get into it. Even though she made a few appearances afterwards, the character of Marron was introduced in the Garlic Jr. saga specifically for that mini arc, the television filler arc, to act and serve as Krillin's first on-screen girlfriend. Her moments throughout the entirety of the arc can be chalked up to just being goofy, perv humor and comic relief, but it all comes to a head in Dragon Ball Z episode 117, titled You're My Guy, Kuririn, a 101st proposal. And of course, as you know, the number 101 means a lot to me. This episode would serve as the spiritual finale to the Garlic Jr. arc, and although 106 is when they actually beat Garlic Jr., this episode wraps up Marron's arc with Krillin, and in many ways is the most intriguing episode when it comes to something that's relatable to a real life sense. So early on in the episode, during Marron's shopping spree, it's established that Krillin may have some competition. Now, when you're dating somebody who's very attractive, other people are going to desire that person, especially when it comes to males, and you may run into some competition. Obviously, we're talking about anime here, but anime is a reflection of the real world, especially in this situation. These things do happen in the real world. So Krillin sees this guy and feels threatened by him because the guy has more money than him, possibly a nicer vehicle than him, and he starts to question his own girlfriend's feelings towards him. But soon his focus shifts on trying to make Marron happy when she oogles a dress and a house that she may want to live in with a potential husband in the future, and Krillin himself wants to be that husband because, as we know, Krillin always wanted to marry somebody. Now, this is already a problem because these two barely know each other, and Krillin's own insecurities are beginning to manifest themselves. More on that later. So he decides to go ahead and propose to her, but before that, he wants to embark on this crazy adventure underwater to get this rare pearl called the Mermaid's Tear. The idea of proposing to someone when you're unsure of their feelings is a really bad idea, but he decides to go through with it anyways and ultimately ends up not retrieving the pearl. Krillin's inability to retrieve the pearl had such a profound psychological effect on him that he chose to break it off with Marron. Because of his own failure to get this pearl, he decided to break it off with Marron. There's a lot of very deep things going on here, more than just this pearl. Krillin himself has extremely low self-esteem. He always made himself feel inadequate to her, all based on the fact that he has some kind of maladaptive mentality about himself, and because of that, he self-sabotaged his own relationship. He ruined his own chance at being with this girl, and it's really made clear in the very next scene where Marron says that she would have been a bride to him. In other words, no matter what your opinion may be of the Marron character, she actually did have feelings for him. She actually did care about him and want to be his bride, but he ruined his own relationship purely because of his own self-hatred and self-loathing issues, his own lack of self-esteem, his own lack of self-worth. And when he turned around and finally realized that this girl may be the one for him, it was too late because he already cut bait and she had already moved on. Now, obviously, somebody moving on that quickly, that's not really love, but at the same time, this is a 22-minute cartoon. They don't have enough time to go through the entire sort of heartbreak phase that she may have gone through. Instead, she finds the wealthy guy, and in turn, Krillin ends up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. He did not believe in himself, didn't think he was good enough for her, and because of that, he lost her. The reality is that insecurities are a relationship killer. And then the icing on the cake is the fact that he does that very beta move where he goes to his friends who have been his friends for literally decades, almost his whole life, and tells them that it was his idea and just to pretend to be the cool guy when we know the truth. very beta. Krillin was very, very beta in this. But again, you have to go through that sometimes in life to learn from it and become better. This is one of the most profound and thought-provoking moments of the entire series, especially the fact that it's filler, because it goes to show that the Toei writers have a grip on reality and have probably faced something like this at some point in their youth. But of course, another lesson to be learned from, well, the entirety of Dragon Ball is that at some point in the future, even if you make the mistake Krillin made and you lose the one that could have been the one you loved, maybe you'll find someone better for you. Maybe you'll find your true love in the next arc of your life. Don't ever let your lack of confidence sabotage your own interpersonal relationships and friendships. And if it does, try your best to learn from it and do better next time. Dragon Ball can be a pretty deep thing. Yes, Dragon Ball's deep. Get it? And this is one example of the series giving us something that you really wouldn't expect from a shonen anime, but it does nonetheless. And to me, I really felt this episode and this entire story of Krillin's failed relationship. And it just goes to show you gotta love yourself before you can love somebody else. Thank you for watching this video. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you if you celebrate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care of yourself and each other.